So we're at Capcom's booth here at E3, catching up on Street Fighter V, and you've been revealing some stuff lately, some new characters, some new details. I know our Street Fighter expert has had some hands-on time with the game as well. And can you tell us a little bit about sort of what changes are you bringing with the 5th chapter of the series?
So obviously with the 5th chapter of the series, we had a couple new reveals this past week. Not just characters, we have new battle systems as well. In terms of characters, we have Cammy and Birdie. Cammy's a returning character from just about every game from Street Fighter, or Super Street Fighter 2 onward. Birdie's from the Alpha series, but even just those characters themselves are a lot different. In terms of changes in terms of the battle systems, we added a couple new things like V-Trigger and V-Skill, which are unique things that give characters a little bit more of a, they give them a chance to come back, they give them more skills and more just breadth to their arsenal. So it's pretty cool. Some things like, for an example, the more you fight, the more you'll level up your V gauge. V stands for variable, and for like Ryu, for example, he'll get a powered up version of his Hadouken, powered up versions of his supers, all that good stuff. So it really gives people a chance to sort of dive deeper into the characters and really explore more what they have to offer.
So, one of the things that came back was that it seems like you simplified some of the moves and changed some of the moves up a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit what the vision is for the sort of the changes in the moves for some of the characters?
Yeah, so there hasn't been a ton in terms of, we're not trying to change the characters fundamentally, but we do want to make this, one of our sort of mantras is we don't want to make this a really fun, awesome, competitive game that's going to live for years and years on. But we also want people who aren't necessarily pros to be able to step up and be able to do a fireball or a shoryuken or a head stomp. So some of the moves may have been simplified a little bit, but it's all meant very well, and it really doesn't change the way that many top players would have played it either. So,
because it's kind of maybe it's a different take in doing like an easy version rather than doing that. You want to sort of empower players a little bit more, but still you have to be skilled to know when to do what and sort of.
Right. So at the end of the day, what we want to do is make the game. It's not as easy as possible, but as approachable as we can, so that it becomes more of a mind game rather than a game that's like, oh crap, I can't do this fireball, I can't do this super move type thing. So it's more just a battle of the minds and character versus character, player versus player.
So Birdie, that was quite a surprise that you brought him into Street Fighter V. Can you tell us a little bit about him, how he plays, and why you wanted to bring him into this game?
So I actually really like Birdie a lot for this one. It's kind of a surprise. Some people have been, there's always, I'm sure he was someone's fan favorite character they've been asking for quite a long time. He's changed a little bit. He used to be a big, really strong, burly dude. He's still big and burly, but he kind of let himself go a little bit. One of his favorite likes on the character select screen says he likes a lot of food, likes a lot of beer. He's got the belly to show for it now, and one of his V skills is like throwing bottles, like eating different foods and powering himself up. He's a bruiser, so he does a lot of damage, but he's kind of slow, so he can get zoned out pretty well. But he does use his chain, that gives him an advantage long range as well, a lot of charging moves, and a really interesting character. If you haven't played him, he's a little bit different than his alpha iteration, but still really, really fun to play. So.
And nice to get sort of an alpha character into, because it's always sort of like, it is a different kind of game, so changes things up a little bit.
Yeah, and we've even got, like, I don't think they're technically called alpha counters, but when you're blocking, you can use an alpha counter type move. So again, sort of taking little things from the older franchises as well and putting them in the new game that really made sense.
So you mentioned the competitive scene. So how are you working to sort of, that's a very demanding scene, and they have a lot of particular requests, and sometimes difficult to meet. Well, how are you working towards sort of satisfying them?
For sure. So a prime example is we actually hired on our staff now. We have Peter Campofin Rosas, who is a world-class top player himself. He's helping battle design the game. He's consulting with our Japan group and really helping tweak some of the finer points in the game that he knows the community is really going to be hanking on. But then as well, like events like this at E3, potentially EVO, all these other events we go to, we really do listen to the fans, get our feedback, and we go back into the game and like, people said this, we'll change this, we'll change this. Obviously, we can't implement every piece of feedback that everyone says because it would be a little bit of a mess, but we are listening, so it is there.
It's also that thing where someone who's really good at a game, who's played Street Fighter 4 for a very long time, if there's a little bit that's changed with their favorite character,
right.
They may be very negative about it, but it takes a little time to warm up to it. So perhaps you shouldn't listen to the first thing they say.
Yeah, we definitely get like I'm a nudge, me, buff my favorite character type thing. You always got to take that with a grain of salt, but we do look at it from the broader perspective of the whole game, not just character by character. So.
So, I mean, obviously, this game is far from done. What kind of a road can we expect, like in terms of more announcements, more characters? Have you got it like? Have the list set up for when you're going to reveal new stuff, and is it all sort of planned there?
Still working on it, as just like the game itself. Like we've got a beautiful slice to show off today, but we're far from done. Even just the game itself is still being worked on. All of our plans are still being finalized and cooked up. So, I mean, we're at E3 right now. This is a huge tentpole event for us. I'm really happy to show the first demo. But stay tuned for more news. We're going to have lots more to show. So
another thing that's a little bit different is that the environments are sort of a greater part of the game now, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit how that works and sort of how you design that not to take away from what's like the core Street Fighter combat?
So at the end of the day, I'm really actually impressed with some of the environments as well. I mean, you've seen from our first demo that we showed of the game where you're knocking somebody through the wall, and then Chun-Li has like the ramen bowl in her head, or in the China stage when you can like knock them into the bus type thing. Even if you jump high enough, like maybe you'll hit some lights and they'll like flicker and some sparks will hit down. At the end of the day, if you take all those effects away, you still have your core, like almost Street Fighter 2-y type experience. It's a really aesthetic type thing, but it really just helps add to, like, you're fighting in the street, it's like a brawl, like stuff's moving around, stuff's knocking over. Not quite to the level where we're talking about like interactables or anything like that, like you're throwing things from the environment, but little touches that really help you bring the characters back into the environment, sort of immerse you into that level that you're fighting in. So.
And you're coming out on PC, PS4. Do you have like a release window set yet?
PC and PS4, we're looking at spring 2016, so soon enough. We got lots more to show though, so stay tuned.
Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome, thanks man, appreciate it.